My grandfather's 85th birthday party was in full swing when he walked up to me with that smile, the one he'd always had when he was proud of something, when he had a surprise. He put his hand on my shoulder and said, "So, sweetheart, how do you like your new car?" I stared at him. "What car?" The room went quiet. That particular silence when everyone knows something you don't. I looked around. My parents were frozen by the punch bowl. My aunt had stopped mid-sentence. And my sister Kristen was standing by the back door, car keys dangling from her finger. New car keys. Keys to a car that was supposed to be mine. "Grandpa," I said slowly, "what are you talking about?" His smile faltered. He looked at my parents, then at Kristen, then back at me. "The car I bought you, for graduating nursing school. Your father said he'd make sure you got it." My father wouldn't meet my eyes. My mother was studying the floor, and Kristen was already backing toward the door, those keys clutched tight in her fist. That was 2 years ago. Let me tell you what happened next, because this story isn't about a car. It's about learning who your family really is when there's something valuable on the table. And it's about an 87-year-old man who made sure justice was served before he died. Growing up, I was the first grandchild. Grandpa and I had a special bond. He'd take me fishing on Saturday mornings, teach me to play chess, tell me stories about his time in the Navy. When Kristen came along 4 years later, he loved her too. But we had our thing, our connection. He'd always told me I was his favorite, said it with a wink like it was our secret. Maybe it was wrong to have favorites, but I was his. Kristen was different from me, louder, more demanding. She knew how to work our parents, how to get what she wanted with tears or tantrums or charm. I was the quiet one who did well in school, stayed out of trouble, didn't ask for much. Classic oldest child syndrome. By the time we were teenagers, the pattern was set. Kristen got attention by demanding it. I got overlooked by not demanding anything. I decided to become a nurse in high school. Volunteered at a hospital. Loved it. Went to nursing school, worked part-time, studied hard. It was brutal. 4 years of clinicals and exams and overnight shifts. But I made it. Graduated at 24 with my BSN. Got a job at a major hospital. Starting salary $48,000. Not amazing, but I was proud. I'd done it myself. Kristen at 20 went to community college for a semester, dropped out, worked at a salon part-time, lived at home. Our parents supported her, said she was finding herself. They'd never supported me like that. I'd had to work through school, had loans. But Kristen needed help finding herself. Different standards for different daughters. Grandpa came to my nursing school graduation, sat in the front row, cried when I walked across the stage, hugged me after and said he was so proud. Said he had something special for me, a graduation gift. But it wasn't ready yet. My father would bring it to me soon. He winked. Our secret. Weeks passed. No gift. I didn't want to ask. Felt greedy. Figured Grandpa was getting old, maybe he forgot. Or maybe it was taking longer than expected. I started my job. Got busy. Months went by. Then Grandpa's 85th birthday party happened. The party was at my parents' house. Big affair. Extended family. Neighbors. Friends from Grandpa's church. Probably 50 people packed into the house and backyard. Catered food. A banner that said, "Happy 85th birthday." A cake with his picture on it. He was in good spirits. Still sharp mentally despite his age. Had been having some heart issues, some mobility problems. But today, he was himself. Laughing at jokes. Telling stories about the old days. Being the grandpa I'd always loved. I'd brought him a gift. A framed photo of us from when I was 7, at the fishing hole where he used to take me. He'd tear it up when he opened it. said it was perfect, said I was perfect. That's when he came up to me later. I was standing near the dessert table talking to my cousin Emma about work. Grandpa walked over with that smile, the one he'd had when I was a kid and he was about to take me somewhere special. Put his hand on my shoulder. The room was loud. People talking, laughing, music playing. But I heard him clearly. "So, sweetheart, how do you like your new car?" I stared at him, my brain trying to process the question. "What car?" The noise in the room seemed to drop away. That particular silence when everyone knows something you don't. Conversation stopping mid-sentence, heads turning. I looked around. My parents were frozen by the punch bowl, my mother's hand suspended with a ladle dripping. My aunt had stopped talking to Uncle David, and my sister Kristen was standing by the back door, car keys dangling from her finger. New car keys. Shiny. On a Honda keychain. Keys to a car that was supposed to be mine. After I asked, "What car?" and the room went silent, everything moved in slow motion. Grandpa looked confused, hurt. He turned to my father. "Robert, what's going on?" "I gave you the money 6 months ago. For the car. For her graduation." My father's face was red. He opened his mouth. Closed it. My mother grabbed his arm. "Let's discuss this later," she said. "Not at the party." "We'll discuss it now," Grandpa said. His voice had an edge I'd never heard. "I gave you $20,000 for a car, for my granddaughter, for graduating nursing school. Where is it?" The room was dead silent, everyone staring. Kristen was trying to slip out the back door. "Kristen!" Grandpa said sharply. "Come here." She froze, turned around, still holding those keys. "Whose keys are those?" Grandpa asked. She looked at our parents, at me, at Grandpa. "Mine," she said, small voice. "When did you get a car?" Grandpa asked. "A few months ago." "How much did it cost?" She didn't answer. My father stepped forward. "Dad, let's talk about this privately." "How much?" Grandpa repeated. 20,000, my mother said quietly, like ripping off a bandage. "We used the money for Kristen. She needed a car for work. She was struggling. We thought..." "You thought what?" Grandpa's voice was ice. "That you could steal from one granddaughter to give to another? That I wouldn't notice? That I wouldn't ask?" "It wasn't stealing," my father said. "It was reallocating. Kristen needed it more. She doesn't have a job like Sarah does. She was struggling to get to work. Sarah's doing fine. She has a good salary. She can buy her own car." I stood there listening to my father explain why my graduation gift should go to my sister. Because I was doing too well. Because I didn't need it enough. Because Kristen's need was greater than my achievement. The same logic they'd used my whole life. Sarah's fine. Sarah doesn't need help. Sarah figured it out. So give everything to Kristen. Grandpa looked at me. His eyes were wet. "I'm so sorry, sweetheart. I didn't know." "It's not your fault," I said. My voice was steady. I was proud of that. "You gave them the money. They made a choice." He turned back to my parents. To Kristen still clutching those keys. "This is what you've become? Thieves? Stealing from your own daughter?" "We didn't steal," my mother said. "We made a practical decision. Kristen needed..." "I don't care what Kristen needed," Grandpa said. "I gave money for Sarah. For her graduation. For her achievement. Not for Kristen's convenience." Kristen started crying. "I didn't know it was supposed to be for Sarah. Mom and Dad said you wanted me to have it." "Is that true?" Grandpa asked my parents. They didn't answer, which was answer enough. They'd told Kristen the money was for her. Lied to both of us. Stole from me and lied to her to cover it. The party fell apart after that. People made excuses and left. Grandpa sat in a chair looking old in a way he hadn't an hour before. I went to him, knelt beside him. "It's okay, Grandpa. I don't need a car. I have a job. I'll save up." He took my hand. "It's not about the car. It's about them. What they did. Who they are." He looked at my parents across the room. I thought I raised him better. I left the party early, drove home in my 10-year-old Honda that I'd bought myself junior year of college, sat in my apartment and processed. My parents had stolen $20,000 from me, lied to Grandpa, given my graduation gift to my sister who had done nothing to earn it, and justified it because I was doing fine, because I didn't need it, because apparently being successful meant you deserved less. A week later, Grandpa called me, said he wanted to meet. Just us. I drove to his house. We sat on his porch like we had when I was a kid. He looked tired but determined. "I'm going to make this right," he said. "You don't have to," I said. "I'm okay." "It's not about okay," he said. "It's about justice, about fairness, about not letting them get away with what they did." He told me he'd been thinking about his will, about what would happen when he was gone. He had a plan. Grandpa was worth more than anyone knew. He'd lived simply. Same small house for 50 years, old car, modest lifestyle. But he'd invested well, saved everything. His estate was worth about $2 million. He'd planned to split it evenly between his 3 children, my father, my Aunt Carol, and my Uncle David. But now he was reconsidering. He told me he was changing his will. My father would still get his third. But of that third, $100,000 would be set aside in a trust for me specifically, untouchable by my parents, mine alone. Additionally, he was buying me a car now. Not $20,000, $30,000. New car, my choice, to make up for what was stolen. And he was reducing what my parents could access from his estate by the same amounts. They'd still inherit, but less, because actions have consequences. "You don't have to do this," I said. "I want to," he said. "I worked my whole life for that money. I get to decide where it goes, and I've decided that thieves don't get rewarded." He smiled, that same smile from the party, but sadder now. "I'm 85. I don't have much time left, but I have enough time to make sure you're taken care of. And to make sure they know why." The car came 3 weeks later. Honda Accord. Brand new. $32,000. Grandpa had picked it out himself. Had it delivered to my apartment with a bow on it. Inside was a card. "For my granddaughter. Who earned it? Love, Grandpa." I cried. Not because of the car, because he'd seen me, valued me, refused to let them erase my achievement. My parents called me furious. How dare I accept a car from Grandpa after the misunderstanding at the party? They'd tried to explain to him that they had reasons, that Kristen needed it more, that I was being dramatic. But I'd poisoned him against them, turned him against his own son. I listened to my mother rant for 10 minutes. Then I said, "You stole $20,000 from me, lied about it, gave it to Kristen, and you're angry that Grandpa bought me a car to replace what you stole?" "We didn't steal," she said. "You keep saying that," I said. "But Grandpa gave you money for me. You gave it to Kristen. That's theft. Call it what you want." I hung up, blocked both their numbers for a while, needed space. Grandpa and I talked every week. He told me he'd had the uncomfortable conversation with my parents about the will changes. They'd argued. My father had said it wasn't fair. That Kristen needed support too. that they'd done what they thought was best. Grandpa had said, "Best for who? Not for Sarah. You stole from her and justified it because she was doing well. That's not parenting. That's punishment for success." Kristen reached out once, sent a long text about how she didn't know the money was supposed to be for me, how she felt terrible, how she'd give me the car if I wanted. I thought about it, then replied, "You've had the car for 8 months. You didn't wonder where a $20,000 gift came from? Didn't ask questions? Just accepted it?" She didn't respond. Because we both knew. She'd known something was off. She just didn't want to look too closely. Easier to accept the gift than question it. Easier to benefit from my loss than ask if she deserved it. A year passed. Grandpa's health declined, heart problems. He'd been managing them for years, but now they were catching up. He spent more time in hospitals than out. I visited every week, sat with him, held his hand. We didn't talk about the car situation much. That chapter was closed. We talked about everything else. His life, his regrets, his hopes for me. He said he was proud of the nurse I'd become, proud of the woman I'd become, said I reminded him of his late wife. Strong, kind. Didn't take crap from anyone. He died on a Tuesday morning, peacefully, in his sleep. I got the call at work, left my shift, drove to the hospital that had become his second home, sat with his body for an hour, said goodbye, thanked him for everything, for seeing me when no one else did, for valuing me when my own parents didn't, for that last gift of the car, and the gift of knowing someone was in my corner. The will reading was 2 weeks later. My father, Aunt Carol, Uncle David, me and my cousins. The lawyer read through the standard parts, then got to the specific bequests. To Sarah Chen, my granddaughter, I leave the sum of $100,000 in trust, to be administered by my daughter Carol, inaccessible to her parents, for her sole benefit. Additionally, I have already provided her with a vehicle valued at $32,000 as a graduation gift, replacing the funds that were misappropriated by her parents. The room was silent. My father's face was white. The lawyer continued, "To my son Robert, I leave 1/3 of my remaining estate, minus $132,000, which has already been allocated to his daughter Sarah to correct his and his wife's theft of her graduation funds. I hope this teaches him that taking from one child to give to another has consequences. I loved him, but I did not respect his choices." My father stood up. "This is ridiculous. He wasn't in his right mind." "He was," Aunt Carol said quietly. "I was with him when he wrote this. He was completely lucid. Angry, but lucid." "You helped him do this?" my father asked. "I witnessed what was right," she said. "You stole from your daughter. Dad made it right. That's all." The lawyer finished reading. Uncle David got his third. Aunt Carol got her third plus became trustee of my $100,000. My father got his third minus what had already gone to me. In total, his inheritance was reduced by over $100,000. Not devastating, but significant. A statement, a consequence. After the reading, my father tried to talk to me, said we should put this behind us, that Grandpa had been manipulated, that I'd poisoned him against his own son. That family should forgive. "You stole from me," I said. "You gave my graduation gift to Kristen. You lied about it. And when you got caught, you said I didn't need it anyway. That's not a misunderstanding. That's a choice. Grandpa saw it. The law sees it. I see it." "So what? You're never going to forgive us?" he asked. "I might forgive you someday," I said, "but I'll never trust you. There's a difference." I walked away, got in my car. The car Grandpa bought me. drove home. Sat in my apartment with my $100,000 in trust and my paid-off car and my job I'd earned and my degree I'd worked for. Everything I had, I'd built. Or Grandpa had given me because he saw what I'd built. My parents had given me nothing except a lesson in who they really were. It's been 2 years since Grandpa died. I still drive the car he bought me. Still have the trust fund untouched, saving it for a house down payment someday. Still work as a nurse. Got promoted. Make $62,000 now. Still building. Still earning. Still proving that success isn't a reason to be punished. My parents and I don't talk much. Christmas cards. Birthday texts. Surface level. Kristen and I don't talk at all. She's still driving the car they bought with my money. Still living at home. Still finding herself at 26. We're not the same. Never were. The car situation just made it undeniable. I think about Grandpa every day. About that moment at his party when he asked about my car. About the confusion in his eyes. The hurt. The anger when he realized what his son had done. He could have let it go. He was 85, tired, sick. Could have just apologized and moved on. But he didn't. He spent his last year making sure I was taken care of, making sure there were consequences, making sure his final act was one of justice. The room went silent that day when I said, "What car?" But what I remember most is what came after. Grandpa standing up, demanding answers, refusing to let them get away with it. An old man with a bad heart and not much time left, fighting for his granddaughter. That's love. Not what my parents did. Not taking from one child for another. Not deciding who deserves based on who needs. Love is seeing someone, valuing them, fighting for them. Grandpa did that. My parents never did. If you've ever had family steal from you and justify it because you were doing fine, this is for you. If you've ever been the responsible child who got less because you needed it less, this is for you. If you've ever had someone in your corner who fought for you when no one else would, this is for you. Hold on to those people. They're rare. And when they're gone, remember what they taught you. That you matter. That your achievements matter. That no one has the right to take what you've earned just because someone else wants it. Grandpa taught me that. In life and in death. The car still runs. The trust is still growing. And his lesson lives on every day. Tell me in the comments, has family ever stolen something that was meant for you? Did anyone stand up for you? I read every story. And if you want more stories about people who found justice when family tried to take advantage, subscribe. Sometimes the most important gift isn't the car or the money. It's knowing someone saw what really happened and refused to let it stand.